Welcome to Tech Talk. I'm Jeff Stipes, and today's program is on online education. My guest is Maryly Skallos, who's an instructional designer out of our Office of
Office of Information Technology.
Information Technology, yes, stumbled on that one. Before we start, tell me a little bit about your background and your responsibilities here at the college.
Well, that's quite diverse, Jeff, and thank you for introducing me so nicely. My background is I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics and statistics. After using that for a number of years as an engineer, I actually got my master's in information technology with a concentration in internet security. And one might think that I would go into the IT world in more depth. What I found myself is I was in the K-8 world for about 18 years, using those knowledges and how it interacted with students, both from designing systems to interacting with the kids and teaching them how to be safe online. Now I'm working on a PhD in information technology and focusing on higher education. So my job here as the instructional designer at MCC is to help the faculty and students understand how technology can help their learning. I deal with the online students and instructors from the standpoint of saying what works best, because not everything works really well, as you well know.
Okay, so when we say instructional design, we're not talking about designing a course, but you're talking about helping an instructor design their course or their offering.
Actually, it's to help them supplement their course, whether it be an online course or even a face-to-face course.
Okay.
You know, there are so many different ways that we can use technology to help everybody learn a little bit better. And that's our goal, is we want everyone to succeed.
Okay. Well, we want to talk primarily about online education today. And, you know, I think back, and I'm thinking back correspondence classes.
Oh, I remember those days.
You know, and so is it fair to say that this is just the current technological iteration of correspondence courses, or is that an unfair statement?
Actually, I wouldn't say that's an unfair statement if we're talking about online courses. Remember, correspondence courses were allowing people to take classes to learn something, but not necessarily sit in a classroom. You and I remember the days when we would get that piece of paper or that packet in the mail with all the materials we have to read and the assignments we have to write, and we do that and we ship it off in the mail and we wait 1 to 2 weeks hoping that the instructor would like what we've written and get it back and either be very happy or very sad. With online instruction, it's the same thing. We don't necessarily have to go to a classroom. We can watch the material or the videos, we could read the material, do the tests or the quizzes or write our papers, and submit them electronically. Sometimes we get immediate gratification and know how well we did, and sometimes we have to wait for the instructor to read our work.
Okay, so unlike the correspondence classes of old, I'm going to need some technology that I didn't have back then. I'm going to need some hardware and some software, and I'm going to need some computer skills. I think I'd like to explore all three of those, and maybe we could just, you know, not necessarily in great depth, but let's start with the hardware. You know, I mean, for an online class today, at least what is the baseline hardware requirement that the student has?
If you're going to do online, you better have a good enough machine that can handle a good internet connection. So my first statement is, make sure you have that really good internet connection. Because if you're going to be watching videos, you don't want to be working on something that is, let's say, a dial-up.
But what's this really good machine? I mean, can I do it on an iPad, or can I do it on a smartphone, or can I do it on, do I need a laptop or a desktop?
Well, if you're as old as I am, you know, I'm going to want that bigger screen. So I'm going to probably want a laptop or a desktop. And it doesn't matter if it's a PC or a Mac or an Android. Now, I know a lot of students who do their work on an iPad, and I use an iPad as well, and most of the time it works very, very nicely. I don't know if I'd want to do it on a smartphone. Now, I do know of students who do things like using a smartphone, as long as it can get to the internet and it can look at the videos. Now, if that's all you're going to do, then that works well. But when you start having to write things, I think a larger machine might be a tad bit better. But, you know, you can, like I said, it could be an iPad or it could be a tablet. You know, again, it's not operating system specific. It's really what makes you comfortable.
Okay, but I don't want to lose what you initially said. Regardless of what my hardware component is, it's that internet connection, that reliable, fast.
Absolutely, the fast, high-speed internet connection is really the best way to go.
Now, what do you mean high-speed internet connection? I know you're not talking dial-up, but in Muskegon, what are my options?
Well, your options are going to be cable, DSL, from your local community or local telecommunication office, satellite, maybe even a broadband stick if you can afford it. So that gives you that flexibility. Now remember, we did talk about hardware. Sometimes we don't even have that in our homes. Maybe we can't afford it. Does that mean you can't do online?
Well, it would seem like it does.
Well, no, because you could go to your local library or even come to campus and use the computers here. Again, that flexibility.
Okay. Yeah, we have an entire open lab in the Hendricks Library. So now that's not open 24/7.
No, unfortunately.
But with a little bit of planning, you still could do it, even if you don't have the quality or even the equipment you need.
Exactly.
How about software?
Software is going to be specific to the course.
Okay.
Most courses, you're going to definitely need a word processor at least. Maybe a little bit of spreadsheet, maybe a presentation like PowerPoint. But there are courses we offer here at MCC that require specialized type of software, like our graphics design.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So, I mean, you've got to make sure that if you need that special type software, you better make sure that you have a machine that can handle it as well.
Okay. Now, when you're talking, I mean, if we talk about graphic design, and I know Nancy Slater does some online classes for the graphic design, and we're probably talking a package like Creative Suite.
Yeah.
That's not cheap.
No, it's not.
Is there a student's pricing on it, or can I rent it or lease it, or?
There's definitely student pricing out there. You can certainly go to a number of different vendors, and I believe here we use journeyed.com for our vendor slicer. To be specific, you can check with your instructor, check with Nancy, or check with the OIT office to find out what is the latest offerings. But a lot of the big manufacturers like AutoCAD, they offer a student version of AutoCAD that is fully functional, and it does all the things that the full-blown package does, and it works just fine.
And if all I need is a word processor, I can get that for free through OpenOffice or LibreOffice or
absolutely, or even using Google Docs.
Okay, sure.
Any of the cloud applications.
Okay, let me just touch one more little question on software. Maybe it's kind of down the road. I mean, I know our library is renting books.
Yes.
Can you rent software for a semester, or is that not in the offing yet?
I'm not familiar with any way of renting software. Typically what happens is that you get a student version of a piece of software, which it's one of two things. It's fully functional and it only lasts for a year that you might have to renew. Or it has some extra things built into it indicating that it's a student software. For instance, AutoCAD offers the full version of AutoCAD to students, but when you print it out, it says student version. So you can't use it for a business. Others will say, we'll give you at a reduced rate, but with the understanding that you will use it as a student, because their high hopes is that when you go out in the business world, you're going to take those skills and encourage those companies to buy the commercial version for their company and be able to take right in and use the equipment.
Now, what about basic computer skills? I mean, I now have to turn it on and connect to the internet.
You mean you've got to turn it on? Yeah, doesn't it blow up when you press the power button?
Right. But again, we're talking just baseline.
Sure.
What would be a reasonable set of skills? I mean,
reasonable set of skills would include your basic typing, word processing. Can you know how to word process? But before you can even word process, you're going to know how to turn on your computer, know how to get to that application, whether it be Word or Office Word, whatever, or Google Docs. You're going to need to know what application to get started. Do you know how to start that application? Do you know what to do when you get in there? Do you know what a cursor is? The other thing you need to know is, how do you save your document? When you save it, where is it? It's not out in the ether world or vapor world. It's got to be somewhere in that computer. Do you know where to save it? Do you know how to save it to a flash drive? Because if you do come to the campus or anywhere on a machine that's not your own, you're going to want to take it with you. So you might want to use a flash drive. You're going to have to know how to put it on that flash drive.
Okay, but you said earlier I got to send stuff in.
Oh, yes.
Send it in to where, and send it in through what? I mean, I assume there's something the school uses that,
You ask excellent questions, Jeff. Let me tell you, here at Muskegon Community College, we use Blackboard as our learning management system. Some people call them LMSs. And through Blackboard, instructors set up little avenues, if you will, within their course where you could submit an assignment. You could be view/complete or click here to submit your assignment. And that's where I was talking about saving your files. You need to know where they are, because when you know where they are, you can then attach them to that submission. The nice thing about using Blackboard when you submit your assignment, and for the instructor as well, is that when you successfully submit, let's say you go to your assignment, you browse your computer, you find your file, you click submit, now you're going to get an immediate statement saying, you successfully submitted, and it'll be a little green bar at the top of the page. And if you missed that piece of signage, in Blackboard you also have a grade book. You can go to that grade book and see a green exclamation mark, and you know now you successfully submitted your assignment. No longer can the instructor say, oh, you never gave me that file. You never gave me that assignment.
I mean, the dog can't eat my homework?
No, the dog can't eat my homework excuse anymore. Okay. Or you must have put it in another pile because I certainly don't have it. You know, the he said, she said routine. Okay.
And now suppose I want to take an online class, but I've just listened to what you said and I'm thinking, oh no, I don't have any of that. What do I do? Got something here I can take?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I kind of figured you
gotta say, Muskegon Community College does a great job in getting people prepared for the technological world. You know, and I know we've got high school kids who come out of school who know everything about computers, or so they think. But we have some older individuals who might not be as up on their skills. Mm-hmm. Or maybe there's some high schoolers who just need a little refresher. Okay. We got a course called CIS 100, Introduction to PC.
Okay, and CIS, Computer Information Systems.
Yes, thank you. You know, that's one problem I have, is I do use a lot of acronyms. Thanks for keeping me straight.
The whole field is.
Yes, I know, it's one big acronym. But yeah, CIS 100, or Computer Information Systems 100, is a great introduction course and teaches you all the skills that you need. How to do a simple word processing program in Word, how to do a simple spreadsheet, but also how to save your files, how to open those files, how to move them around, how to copy and paste, cut and paste.
It's going to teach me email?
Yes.
Okay, so all those foundation skills are in there.
Absolutely.
Now I know the college strongly encourages students to take the College Success Seminar for the classroom component. Is that also going to be helpful to me in my online course?
Yes, it will. Because one of the things with online courses is learning how to be a good organizer, how to keep your focus on the tasks that need to be done. And the College Success Seminar is a great tool in being able to do just that, keep you on the straight and narrow, what to expect, how to submit an assignment. Absolutely.
I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit.
Uh-oh.
What I would like to know is, what would you say, in rank order, from first, number one moving down, what would you say would be maybe the top 3 things that are indicative of a successful online student?
Top 3 things.
Habits, patterns. What's really right up there at the top of the list that facilitates their success with online education?
Well, between the research I've read and my own personal experiences, which I base a lot of my focus on, the first thing that comes to my mind is an independent learner, someone who's willing to take that extra material and try to figure out what it really means. So an independent learner is definitely one of the top 3. Self-motivator, because there's no one there to remind you to do something.
Okay.
You might be lucky enough to have an instructor who sends you a notice saying, hey, you're missing this, or this deadline's coming up. But you really need to keep yourself focused on what is the goal, and keeping yourself on that task and on that direction. You said 3.
Well, 2 is fine. 2 is fine. 2 is fine. Okay. So, all right. There's a lot of material out there, pros and cons, about online education. And it's not hard to find. Even a guy like me can go out and Google and find them.
Didn't you know that's one of the main phrases we use in IT?
Online
is Google it.
Google this,
if you doubt, Google it. It's amazing what you can find on Google.
I'd like to run down just a few of these and get your reaction to them. And I'll tell you whether it was a pro or a con.
Oh, really? Okay, thank you.
These actually came from the University of North Carolina. One of the top things they listed, and I've seen it on other sites, one of the top things they listed on the pros is there is no learning pace constraint. You can learn at your own pace and study at your convenience. Boy, that sounds great.
It sounds great, but there's a caveat to it.
Okay.
Let's make sure that we recognize it. They're true. You can learn at your own pace. You can do it at your convenience, but with the limitation of making sure you meet the deadlines. Just as with a face-to-face class, you have deadlines. You have to get the work done on time to get full credit. The same thing's true with online. Yeah, I don't have to sit down and schedule every week at Tuesday from 6 to 10. I'm going to be sitting in a classroom listening to a fabulous instructor talk about whatever it is that they're talking about, because I might have something else on my mind. I might not be feeling well, maybe I had a bad day, maybe the kids got sick, whatever. With an online class, I don't have to necessarily say every Tuesday from 6 to 10, I'm going to sit in this class. What I can do is I can spread that over the 7 days. But the thing is, I still need to listen to the lecture. I still need to read the readings.
Okay.
I still need to participate. So what it does allow me to learn at my own pace and schedule it when it's convenient for me, but I still need to do the work.
Okay, so there's a base time commitment that has to be
Absolutely
put in there, and the only issue here is I'm allowed to spread that out rather than have to do it on a Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock or something.
That goes back to my top 2 items, which is you've got to be a good person on task, that you stick with that task management process. And a lot of times, first, new online students don't realize they really do need to schedule their time on when they're going to actually sit down and do their work.
Okay.
They can't wait to the last minute. Just as you and I know in regular classes, you don't wait to the last minute to do your homework. You've got to put that time in.
Okay, pro number 2, and this one I have a little trouble with, but I'm interested in what you say. Let me just read it. There are no verbal expectations. You can express yourself in writing rather than verbally.
If the instructor is not using any verbal type software, let's say like Skype or Voice Podcaster, where the student reports back using their own words, everything is written, that statement is fairly true, but that trend is changing. Back in the days before we had all the multimedia applications that we've had in the world, everything was done by writing. And we texted everything, we wrote it all down. Now, however, that paradigm is starting to shift because they're finding with some students, they do need to talk about it. They need to, let's say, for example, you're taking a language course, you're learning Spanish. I could write in Spanish all I want, but never be able to speak it.
You see, it also seems to be a little bit counter to what we're seeing from employers in terms of expecting people to work together in teams and communicate. Yes. And anyway.
And that's a very, very difficult skill to achieve in online learning.
Okay. Number 3, last of the pros. You can work on your course just about anywhere you have internet access. So I can go to McDonald's and have a coffee and work on my courses?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a good idea?
Absolutely.
Is that a good idea?
If you are self-determined and you are a self-motivator and you are able to keep yourself focused that way, sure. Myself? No. I'm a people watcher.
Okay.
I'll be easily distracted. You know, a squirrel runs by, I'm going to look.
So we can basically tell Dr. Nesbury good news. We've got satellite classrooms everywhere there's a McDonald's, right?
Sure.
Excellent. I'm sure that'll make his day.
Oh, I don't know. Let me tell you though, the connection to McDonald's may not be high speed.
Okay.
So you got to think about where you are.
All right, so it's not necessarily anywhere.
Right. You have to understand, you're at the mercy of what offerings they're giving.
Okay.
I've not been very successful sometimes at McDonald's. Now, Starbucks?
A different ballgame, huh?
But then again, we're not trying to promote any particular business either.
Okay, but after a few hours, you gotta buy another coffee or leave.
Sure.
Okay. On the con side, I think you've talked about some of it already, but one of the biggest things at the top of the list of the cons is this absence of social interaction with classmates, and there's no campus atmosphere.
True. There's no campus atmosphere. Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of hard to have a virtual campus, although now the business about the social interaction, that really depends on your course and how it's designed. And that's where my job really comes into play. Okay. Designing areas where you can still have your social interactions. That's where we have a lot of times we have discussion boards, we have wikis, we have group projects.
Wow, wait, what's a wiki?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did it, didn't I, again? All right. A wiki is an environment where you can all share the same type of environment. It's like sitting around a table and everybody writing something on a piece of paper and sharing it around and writing on that same piece of paper. It's an environment where you can collaborate together or work together.
Okay.
That's what a wiki is about. But a lot of social interactions happen through the discussion board or even through those voice podcasts, where now you can share those ideas. It may not be at the same time. It's what we call asynchronous learning, where you might be able to post something one time and maybe 10 minutes or 2 days later someone else responds back. Granted, it's not the instant social interaction that you may have in a classroom environment.
Okay.
But you still have some social interactions.
Okay. I got some other cons, but I think I'd rather move on to.
Sure.
I've got some better questions.
Oh, no.
I'm reasonably confident there's some academic disciplines that just don't lend themselves well. I mean, I would find it difficult to learn welding online. But but what disciplines lend themselves best to online instruction? And
well, I have to agree with you about the welding.
okay.
Those things that require that hands-on, the welding, the automotive repair, there are some things you can do in those coursework that you can do online, that you can use simulations for. What course is best? Those courses that require a lot of reading, maybe some writing, but even calculus. It's hard to believe, but even math courses can be taught online because you can have simulations, you can still have the interaction and still learn the information, the steps to be able to be successful. But those courses that require that physical presence, making a bed in nursing is something you can't do virtually.
Okay, so is it fair to say that typically the ones that don't lend themselves as well would be the lab courses?
Absolutely.
Now, that doesn't mean the lecture piece of it couldn't happen. And we call those
hybrids.
Hybrids, okay.
We call those hybrids.
Okay.
And a lot of classes now are even going in the hybrid environment, even those with the English and the maths and the histories and the anthropology. A lot of them are going hybrid, where they're going to have the lecture maybe outside of class, get them ready, and then have them come in and do group work, case studies, that type of thing.
Is there any constraint here at MCC as to the number of online courses I can take when pursuing an applied science degree or an arts and science degree?
I'm not aware of any constraints at this time.
So theoretically, I could do the whole thing. If they were all offered, I could do the entire degree online? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you know, because I know some schools offer that.
Some schools offer that. We don't offer any degree programs directly, completely online. There's usually a couple of elements that require that face-to-face environment, some labs and things of that nature. That doesn't mean Muskegon Community College will never do that. In fact, I can tell you right now, we're working towards that very goal.
Oh, it really opens up a market.
It does open up the market, yes.
Okay. Do we have any classes that are taught only online, where there's not a classroom version of it?
Not that I'm aware of. Every class we offer here at Muskegon Community College, there's at least a face-to-face class or hybrid, which means you still have the face-to-face and or an online. Okay. There's no class that's only taught online.
Okay. Now, if I'm taking an online class, that means now that I've got to get myself an e-book for the text?
No, you don't need an e-book necessarily for an online class.
Okay.
You can still get a hardbound class, a hardbound book. I can tell you my courses that I've taken online, most of them had hardbound courses.
Okay. But if I have a Kindle or a Nook?
Oh yeah, you can use it.
Okay, so
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. And you know, I have to admit that in the past year, the Kindles, the e-books that have come out from the Kindle and the Amazon things, their pagination, their reading abilities are matching almost identical to the actual printed book.
Okay.
So it's made it a lot easier.
If I wanted to find out what the online offerings here at MCC are, is there a simple way I can find out, without having to look at the entire schedule for the fall semester, just what have you got that's online?
There is a great way to find that. And I was surprised how simple it really was.
Okay.
I can go to the MCC website, the homepage, and click on Web Advisor, and click on Search for Sections, which is on the right-hand under Students.
Okay.
And all I have to do is select the semester that I'm interested in, and then about 2/3 of the way down on the left side, there's a spot that says Location.
Look to the left.
Look to the left.
Okay.
And look for the one that says Location, and pull that down arrow up, and there will be one that says Internet, Net. Click on that and click OK, and you'll get a listing of all the online courses available at Muskegon Community College.
All right. Excellent. The VLC, Virtual Learning Collaborative.
Consortium.
And this is a Michigan
It is a Michigan Community College.
Is it an institution, or is it just an agreement, or what is it?
It's a collaboration. It's a cohort of all the 28 community colleges that we have in Michigan. And it's an agreement with all the colleges saying that if we offer a course online and someone at one of the other community colleges needed to take that course for their program, they can register through the VLC and take our course, even though they're not on our campus or one of our own students, because they're registered through the VLC. And likewise, one of our students who wants another course that maybe we're not offering that semester, but sees it being offered at another campus, through the VLC, they can register for the course, take the course, and get the credit, and have it on their transcripts here.
Okay, so the VLC then guarantees transferability.
Yes.
In other words, if we're part of the VLC, then what we're saying is, if you take a course through Delta or Macomb or something else, it's a class that's part of your curriculum here.
Yes.
That we will take that.
Yes.
As okay, so you're safe in doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Suppose they have a class that we don't offer. Can a student still pursue that as an elective if they wanted to?
Sure.
Okay,
sure,
but
they would
limitations. They'd have to go through the counseling office and
make sure that it fits into their program or some sort.
Department chair to approve that. Okay, sounds like a good situation.
It's a great situation for students who are willing to put the time and effort. Please understand, though, it means a lot of effort on that student's part to make sure they stay on task and that they do the work. They can't wait to the last minute.
I have one last question about the VLC.
Sure.
Cost the same?
Actually, it's a little more expensive.
Okay. Now, so if somebody were from, say, Lansing area wanted to take one of our classes, would they have to take it as a out-of-district student, or does the VLC have a set?
VLC has their own price structure.
It's a price structure. Okay, and then you pay that price structure and go through. Now, how does that get communicated to us? Just through a standard record system, or?
There's a registration process that works through. We have a coordinator, a VLC coordinator.
So if I'm teaching here an online class and somebody is taking my class from the VLC, do I know they are doing that? Do I know they're a VLC student?
I don't think so.
I do not know.
I do not think so.
Okay. But that could be problematic if I require a orientation session.
Well, then it'll be up to that student to contact the instructor. If you required a face-to-face orientation, that student needs to notify to you saying, explaining the limitations that they have, saying, hey, I'm in Detroit, I cannot come. Is there an alternative?
Okay. Now, I know once in a while some of the online classes require the student to show up on campus for a final exam.
Sure.
Now, in the VLC, the host school would proctor that for them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They make those accommodations. And that would be true for anybody. Let's say you had someone who started here on the campus and was transferred out. Maybe they had to move. They can request that it be sent to a registered proctored location, maybe a local high school, a local library, who holds that test until they can take it. And then they can proctor it and send it back to the instructor.
Okay. Excellent. This has been very informative.
Good.
I've now gone past the correspondence course idea. Yeah, I think I have a pretty good understanding. And if we want to wrap up on any one note, it's discipline, right?
It's discipline.
You have to have the discipline to.
It's not an easy walk. Mm-hmm. It's not like taking your bunny slippers and your jammies and taking your course and think it's going to be a piece of cake.
That's what they show us on TV.
I know, and that's really, in the very beginning, it may sound so wonderful, but when you really get into it, and if you really want to get out of that education what you need to put the time and effort in.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.